Right here in front of me is the box that contains the brand new rear rotors for the vehicle behind me, the 2018 Dodge Challenger. And we're going to be installing these. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up for the first time. Let's see what we got. And I could use a box cutter, but you know, why do the normal? Here we go. We got a box in a box, but no problem. We got this box. Give me a second. Here's the real unboxing. Dun dun dun. These look like these look big, dude. Hopefully these are the right ones. Wow, man, they're shiny. Okay, first step, loosen the lug nuts, and these were cranked on there pretty damn tight. They probably had, obviously a shop did it last, I believe, air tools. Sometimes you have to carefully perform this action of actually your entire weight to loosen the lug nuts. But you want to do that first before you jack this vehicle up in the air, because again, if you don't have the air tools and this thing's up in the air, you definitely don't want to be jumping all your weight on top of it if it's sitting on jack stands. All right. Yeah, this one was cranked down pretty good. You could get injured actually doing it, trying to loosen these when they're that tight, but we're being careful. Dang, man. Okay, I'm going to show you how I'm going to jack this vehicle up off the ground. So, underneath the car, this is the rear of the car. There's the tires. It's right by the tire area. You'll see this part, this flat metal part. That's designed to put your jack stand, I imagine, or you could actually jack it up from that point, I guess. But the point I'm going to use is this part, this metal part, because otherwise all around surrounding it is like plastic under protection for underneath. So anyway, so to get this part to be jacked up, what I'm going to use, because I don't have whatever tool's probably supposed to go in there, is I got a piece of composite. It's like decking board, pretty thick, like 1.5 inch decking composite wood. I cut a square, and I'm placing it on top of the jack. And then I'm going to do is I'm going to jack it underneath the car, and then I'm going to have that be the point where it lifts up to cushion it, not damage anything. So I'm going to see how this goes. Bring the jack back real quick. Oh shoot, what's it? Okay, so I've got the car jacked up in the back. I ended up using 2 pieces of that composite wood stacked up on top of each other underneath the metal flat area underneath, away from all the plastic underneath. And I got it up off the ground. So far so good. Okay, so follow up on getting the jack underneath and getting this thing up in the air. I'm not 100% confident on this floor jack because it loses like some of its pressure, and it kind of lowers sometimes, and I don't have any other way of supporting this for my safety other than to put a jack stand underneath here as just kind of hopefully an emergency jack stand, because I really don't want the weight of the car on that area right there. And here's what we did though. We placed like a wedge so that to keep the jack from like lowering down, I hope. So don't try this at home, but just one way suggestion of doing this. Okay, I just freshly removed the wheel, and just to show what we're looking at here. This is, like I said, the rear, so they're smaller than the front brakes. And the rotor's supposed to be smaller. I don't know. So just to kind of also document where everything goes. Not like it's too complicated on this one, but it's kind of good to see, have like a reference in case something goes awry. Let's see what we got back here. Alrighty. Okay, the way I'm going to do this next part is use a 15 and an 18 millimeter. The 18 millimeter is kind of hard to find. I bought that one custom on its own, I think, as that AutoZone, I believe. Or I'm sorry, it might have been O'Reilly, I'm not sure. But it was just a standalone where you could buy individual sizes of wrench. You could also use locking pliers, vice grips, whatever, but I don't have my hands available. So you hold, the 18 actually seems a little loose. I don't know why though. But you hold this nut, and then you take off this one while you hold this one, and you do that to both the bottom and the top. So I'll do that and I'll get back to you. Okay, so once you remove the two bolts, and if you notice there's evidence of Loctite on there, the blue, it's like Loctite. Then you have the other nut just stays there. And then now you got the brake assembly off for the rear brake. And then just put it out of your way. Sometimes I like to hang these with like a wire, but I think on this one, on the rear ones, it's much smaller and it's a lot kind of a lighter assembly. So I'm just gonna believe I can just set it like that. And then I got a next step is to take, there's some bigger bolts in the back here. Hold on, I think sorry. These bigger bolts back here, I have to remove those. Let's see if it's an 18. Yeah, so that's basically an 18 millimeter. So I got to remove these, and then there's this one, and then this one, and I'm gonna loosen these and remove them. Then I'll show you what's next. It's really hard to get these off. Damn it. Okay, so once you got them loosened with the big wrench here, you can go ahead and switch to a socket. Let me see. Of course, I don't have an 18 socket, so I'll be back. Okay, so I found the elusive 18 millimeter socket. These are kind of hard to find. I mean, you don't see these every day, unless you're a mechanic, maybe, like a real mechanic. So anyway, so back here, since I loosened the main bolt to remove the rest of the brake assembly, now I can go switch to the socket, because you really would have a tough time trying to loosen it with a ratchet, whatever. And guess what? Hold on. I was going the wrong way because I wasn't paying attention. So anyway, so this is how you take them off. So this is the top one, and then the bottom one just the same thing basically. Just use the socket ratcheting tool to remove the bottom bolt, and I'll get back with you. Okay, so I removed the brake assembly complete. There's these two large 18 millimeter bolts, and they're really hard to remove. They're really tight, and they need to be really tight when you put them back. So make sure if you do this, put these back super tight. And then the rear brake pads are still in there. Looks like that. Of course, the new rotors came with the new brake pads, so I'm not going to use these, even though there's a lot. These are basically have a lot of life left on them. But they're not that expensive, so we'll go with the new ones because it's going to be on the new rotors. And so far, I should basically be able to take this rotor off. Let me see if I can just do it right now. Some taps. Okay, I'll see if I have any more issues. I'll come back to this. Trouble getting the rotor out, actually getting it off of the axle, whatever. So what I ended up doing that worked was I put a 4x4 and then I used a hammer like this. It's already loosened, but I just wanted to demonstrate what I did because we were having a tough time. So we did that, and we're ready to pull her off. And there she is, right there. Look at all her glory. Look at that beauty right there. So I'm gonna wash it with soap and put it back on. I'm just kidding. So we're gonna put the new one on, and that's basically the majority of what you gotta do. I'll kind of videotape more anyways. But there she goes, a pretty little thing right here. Anyways, by the way, I just happened to notice the parking brake sitting behind it. Pretty cool. And then there's the little star adjustment for that. I'm not messing with that, I'm just showing it. It's on the rear brakes. And then there's the braking material, friction material. I'm going to clean this with brake cleaner, but just showing that. All right, I used some brake cleaner on this because remember, this right here is the friction material that is used for the parking brake. All right, so I'm about ready to install the brand new rotor for the rear brakes. So I'm going to go ahead and clean it with brake cleaner because it's going to be hard to access this once I place it on there. So I'm going to clean the back and then the inside because that's where the parking brake meets to initiate the brakes. For the parking brakes is the interior of the rotor. Okay, so let me install it. And then I wanted to mention something, so hold on a second. Got my phone. Oh, okay. Damn it. Whew. Okay, there she is. What I wanted to mention is these two rotors, the set that it comes with, are not identical. You actually have to place them a certain way. So what you want is facing towards the back of the vehicle. This would be on the driver's side rear. You want these grooves to be pointing backwards. So there is actually a direction that these rotors are designed to move it. So pay attention to that because they are not the same. They're a mirror image of each other on these grooves. Yeah, just make sure you get that right. That would really be a bummer to put this all together and then find out later that they were on backwards. Would have reversed. Okay, and I've got to reinstall the brake assembly. So remember to use Loctite when you put this back. Put it back together. You'll see evidence of Loctite on them from before. And then tighten them very, very tight. I'm sure there's a torque specifications. I'm going to make sure to meet the torque specifications for this, but it's up to you because this is pretty premium importance here to have your brakes properly torqued, tightened down on the bolts and nuts and what have you. All right, so we got the main piece for the brake assembly on, bolted in the back, 18 millimeter. Loctite, and then tightened very tightly. But I got to mention right now, so the kit, it came with these parts for the springs for the brakes. There's four of them, two for the front, two for the passenger, two for the driver's side. So it comes with four of them for all the brake assembly replacement, but they're not the correct width. So this is the original that was on there, and this is the ones that came new. So I'm going to go ahead and just use the original ones because those are the ones that will fit properly. So don't throw parts away when you're doing stuff. Always keep parts until you're completely done. I even keep parts even when I am done because you never know when you want to reference something. So these just go in here, click it in a little bit on both sides. Top one, same thing. See that? Click it in. Sometimes you got to bend these little tabs, you want to bend them out a little bit. Like that. Kind of bend them outward. See that? Kind of bend them out. And it should be able to shove in there a lot better. Yep, shoved it in there good. Gravity, it's defeated the force of gravity. It's not falling off. Now I can grab the new pads, brand new package, and I'll put those in there. And I gotta open this package. All right, so the new brake pads are in. They kind of tuck in underneath this part of the brake assembly. This they go behind this like that. I was having a little bit of issue getting them in because the springs, the holding metal that holds the brake pads. But anyways, one more thing. So I went to put the final assembly piece, and I have to compress it in. We call this the calipers. We'll have to compress this in so that I can get to get it to go around the new assembly and the new brake pad. So I got a. Hold on. So what I did is I'm using the old brake pad, is right here, as a surface to use to compress the caliper with the. You don't have to go too far, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Should be enough. Okay. Okay, now that it's been compressed, the caliper, and be able to fit it in properly. Push this in. Push this bad boy in there. There we go. It's all assembled, and then I just have to line it up so I can put the bolts. And I'm going to use some Loctite. Wait a second. Oh, it's going to go up. So it's lined up there. I'll be able to put the bolts in. I turn it on. All right, so got everything together. I used this lubricant. I'm going to clean up that excess later. But I wanted to show you how you're supposed to do this. I got an 18 millimeter. It's a little loose, but that's what I'm pretty sure that's what it recommends. And then I got a 15 millimeter, and then you're able to kind of do this without pinching yourself. Do it like that. I'm just showing you how you tighten these down, and then there's the two on the bottom, same way. And then I'll come back and put it to torque specifications. And I also use Loctite inside the for the threads.